Hey guys, it's Matt here, and in this video, we're going to be getting rid of the Amazon OS that's on this tablet, and we're going to be installing Lineage OS instead. So, let's get started. So the tablet you're seeing here is a Fire Tablet 5th generation. This device came out in 2015 and runs Android 5 on top of its own Amazon Fire OS thing that they call it. Now, I've never been very fond of this OS, but thankfully we're not stuck with it, as the community has come together to make this device run something that actually is a lot nicer. That is Lineage OS. Lineage OS 14, to be exact, is based on Android 7 and would bring this device at least a little bit more use, besides the fact that the launcher is an absolute garbage. So yeah, let's get started with this guy. Garbage. So yeah, let's get started with this guy. So you can see right here, we've got the files that we need. We've got Lineage OS, we've got a stock ROM, which I will explain what we'll need to do with that in a minute. We've got AmmoNet, which is a utility, I probably butchered that, but is a utility that lets you put TWRP and some other stuff on the Fire Tablet. You can do this with a Fire Tablet 5th gen and a 7th gen, both the 7-inch models. And then we've got the stock FireOS folder that I accidentally didn't put the ROM in, so let me do that really quick. Now, with this tablet here, you normally would need to open this thing up and use a paper clip to short some pins to make the connections work and all that stuff, but thankfully we don't need to do that today. And that's all thanks to this guide on the XDA forums, which has all the files you need, and it has all of the things that you need to do if you decide to short it out, which on this tablet you do not need to do that.
Now, this part is where I made my first mistake, but I'm not going to blame myself for this one. Don't just stop this process. You're going to want to disable it, and the reason why I'm not going to blame myself here is because the guide specifically says you can do this. Spoiler alert, you can't. You'll see why later. It's better to disable it by typing in the word disable in place of the word stop here. So the next thing I did here was put my Fire Tablet into recovery mode. This will allow me to push the update that's required, or more like a downgrade, to get this Fire Tablet onto a version that allows for this exploit. Eventually, you'll get to a screen that looks very similar to the Android recovery. I'm sure that's not a coincidence at all. And when you get to that, you'll want to select the Apply Update over ADB option. This will make the device show up in the Android Debugging Bridge utility on your PC, and you can flash the downgraded ROM. If you decide not to do this, I'm going to assume that you chose to short the pin on the back to enter the required mode instead, which is fine, but I'm not going to be demonstrating that in this video. When this is done, the tablet will go straight back into recovery mode, and at this point, this is where I made my first mistake. While attempting to boot into the special mode that's required to unlock the bootloader and flash the custom recovery, yeah, things broke here. After I typed the command, it completely errored out, which caused the tablet to completely lock up. Remember when I said that you really didn't want to stop that modem manager service? Well, yeah, here's where that comes to light. If you just stop the service, it will re-enable itself at some point and will cause this issue. I had to open the tablet up and unplug the battery for it to get out of this mode. I could not force it off no matter what button combination I pushed. So yeah, be careful with that and don't make the same mistake as I did if you're following along here.
So we are good. Thank goodness.
So all that was left to do at this point was just to flash TWRP, which went without a hitch. Now I actually had some trouble with this part too. Now right here you can see that I'm just doing a wipe on the device, clearing out the Fire OS that is stock with the tablet and installing Lineage OS. However, when I actually went to go and install Lineage OS, I had an error with TWRP. It didn't want to flash it. I was racking my brain over this for 10 minutes until I realized that I did not wipe the Dalvik cache. Alright, I'm going to cut into my own video here in my own voiceover. I actually did wipe the Dalvik cache because you can see in the video just 15 seconds prior that I ticked that box. So, I don't know what happened, but redoing it again fixed it, so whatever, it works. After all those snafus, you can see here we've got the ROM flashing, and subsequently I installed GApps afterwards. Apologies for the quality here, as this was recorded with my phone, because I didn't have my camera ready to record at that time, but it did succeed.
So yeah, it's done. It's been actually a couple weeks since you saw the footage that you did, but it works and runs really well, all things considered. So this device unfortunately doesn't have any ROMs that are above Android 7, so it's limited on its functionality, but most apps actually still do require at least Android 7. Some require 8 or 9, and those obviously aren't going to work on here, but it's better than what was built in, which was Android 5, and most apps have killed off support for 5 besides some games. What can you actually do with this thing? Well, for one, there's an issue where it will not rotate. This does work occasionally, but a lot of the time it doesn't. I do not know why that's a problem, but it is, which also makes it really hard for me to want to use this thing. Not having rotation makes it a pain, especially in like YouTube, because YouTube does treat this as a tablet correctly, and when you rotate the screen, or when you put it in full screen, it will not auto-rotate for you. So you either need an app to do it, or you need to restart the tablet until the rotation actually works properly. But regardless, it's still more useful than what it was when it was running Android 5. Now, I actually did pick up another one of these Fire tablets, and it's on its way here. It likely won't be the next video, but it'll be the one after that, so there will be a part 2 to this series, I guess. But I went ahead and grabbed a Fire tablet 6th generation. It was a Fire HD 8. This one is much better, it has a much nicer design, it's a little bit newer looking than this guy here. I only paid 17 bucks for it, but while these tablets shipped with the same Android 5, there are ROMs to get them up to Android 10. So those devices are a lot better in terms of modding. But yeah, as it stands, this tablet is pretty darn good, and I'll take it over what it had before. So yeah, Android 7, which is Lineage OS 2, so it's very clean. It's just nice. Now you can see how long this is taking to load there. That took quite a long time. And that's just because the chip that's in this thing uses a MediaTek chip, just isn't that good. And that makes sense, especially because this is a 2015 tablet, and yeah, it's just old. So you can really only push the hardware so far. But yeah, other than that, that's about it for this video. If you liked it, then give it a like, and let me know if there's anything else that you want me to do with this thing. I'm not really sure there's a whole lot more that I can really do, but in case there's something, feel free to shoot a comment down in the comment section. And if you found this video useful, then let me know that too. I'm curious for people who actually followed this as like kind of like a guide. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all later. Bye guys.